Well, good morning, everybody. King Jordan of the Republic of Galvonia here, and I just want to give a quick walk and talk update this morning for everybody. We're quite behind on updates and return phone calls and emails and things like that at the moment. We've had a lot going on, and unfortunately, we recently had lost a bunch of data, important stuff. But anyway, we'll touch on that later in the video. But without further ado, let's commence on the walk and talk update. So, although there's plenty of projects that have been started, we're always working on some of them. We've got our raised beds here, which appear to be in a little bit disarray, but we're kind of trying to let a lot of natural plants coexist alongside what we have, a lot of peppers and cilantro, and over here we have tomatoes. If they encroach too much, we're gonna, might have to yoink a few out, but we're trying to kind of let nature take its course as much as possible. We believe that in instances like this, there might be providing good shelter, where some of these other plants, which some of them are yet to be identified, but they appear to be providing shelter for some of the little things like little baby cilantro. But lots of native sunflowers, wild sunflowers. We have a nice pair of hollyhocks, a group of hollyhocks growing over here. So we used to have quite a few of these around. I'm not really sure where they've all went now, but everything is, still green for the most part. We have a lot of we've had quite a bit of rain, but also it's been quite dry in between and very hot. So it's been a big drought, and it's starting to kind of moderate a little bit here and there. We'll see if it keeps raining. Got a little bit of a jungle going on, but a couple things left to clean up. This is some cleanup and some recycling projects going on. But for our Castle Mount Monument project, we started this on the 4th day of the 4th month on the Galvonian calendar. And for those who don't know, we've gone to a 13-month 28-day calendar. We'll have some updates on that on the website here, but a lot of progress has been done. We're not 100% complete, but we're and this is all recycled concrete, obviously, and it may not be the most clean material on earth, but it's a way to recycle something that would otherwise be put in a landfill somewhere, and we try to recycle everything we can in every way. So quite a few of our projects are a result of recycled materials being repurposed for one reason or another. Oh, this over here, we need to clear access to it, but it used to be where the water tank was. Now we've moved the water tank over here, so it's going to get secured with some kind of a cage around it, and it'll collect rainwater from the roof. So that's going to be a rainwater collection system, and then our actual potable water system is inside the box there. But this, by order of Princess River, is to be repurposed as a picnic area. So we have some cleaning to do, unfortunately, and it's both a blessing and a curse. A good portion of Galvonia's income is reliant on, we'll say, the service industry, because there are, I, for example, have to go and I perform backhoe services, and I do construction services elsewhere in the world, and anything I make from that I get to bring back to Galvonia and then enrich what I can here as part of my community obligation. But also everything in between, I get to use the backhoe for not just mine, but for the purposes of bolstering Galvonia's infrastructure. So here's our firewood pile, which a lot of this is non-burnable, but we're going to recycle it in other ways. There's still some burnable stuff yet to be sorted through. We'll go across the log bridge here. I know it's been quite a year or so since our last, I would say, we've been in existence for more than a year. It's kind of a complicated time scale, but we essentially began operations to reclaim and institute a new order, essentially, which resulted in the Republic of Galvonia. We started on that endeavor in 2023, and we had our first real signing of our articles of organization, which is very much like a constitution. And that was done on June 21st on the Gregorian calendar. June 21st, 2024 was our first signing, and then, you know, obviously we have revisited and no changes, but we have recently just celebrated our, would be our second annual Freedom Day to commemorate, you know, roughly 2 years in existence. So it's been quite a 2 years, but in the last 1 year, since our last Freedom Day, which we had a kind of a series of videos that were meant to be published, but this is another thing I'm going to address is our internet connection here is unfortunately very poor, and it takes about 8 to 10 hours to upload a 2-minute video, and it makes it hard to do things like video calls and phone calls and different things of the like. So it's a little bit more of a hindrance, and we're going to try to update that this year, this upcoming year, I should say. Here in our Conjunction Reservoir, side note, we have a beautiful Russian olive growing. There in a lot of areas those aren't wanted, but we have so few trees, we're going to nurture it and protect it, and we won't let it get out of hand here. But we're very happy to have any sort of new vegetation growing. So as we cross the road, we'll cross into, technically this is the factory district. We also have a kind of a no-mow policy, but we are very much interested in, you know, trying to preserve as much of nature as we can. So we leave a lot of, there's going to be some mowing. This section is going to get mowed because this building here we started cleanup. There's another project we started. We're hoping to be a little farther along, but hence the current project that I'm involved in is quite intensive and requires a lot of labor until it's done. But once that's done, we're going to be working on this. So that's going to be finishing disassembly and tear down, and then right over here on that big mound of dirt, it will be reassembled with a new pole barn structure added to it. And this is going to be our factory, our kind of our old tech factory, but there's going to be some new tech things in it too. So we believe in a blend of modern and traditional methods. So it'll have forging equipment, you know, some foundry equipment, other types of fabrication equipment, but it's also going to have, you know, 3D printer and a small computer and work area, electronic work area, as well as some wood shop stuff. So it'll be quite a handy little community access project. TerraTech, the company that does a lot of the work around here, is actually going to have a lease on that building for a while for operating out of, but it'll still be open. Portions of it will be open to the public as a, you know, community shop. Just like the community garden here, our potato plot, which is quite a bit more extensive than last year. We've more than doubled its size. So here as we're walking through the garden district of Galata Province. And one thing I wanted to walk down and show everybody real quick, here's Mount Jerry. But our cattails, especially where we've harvested them, and this is a big shout out to the Principality of Silvestria. We have yet to get them their order of cattails. We had some problems with our supply, and we had some stuff harvested, but it's been kind of an interesting weather patterns here. So it's hard to keep things intact with some of these odd storms and such that we're having in cold weather. So we've lost a bunch of our potatoes last year, and it damaged some of our other stuff. But shout out to Director General Belto of the Principality of Silvestria. We're going to get you guys what we had owed you before and then some. So here's our cattails, which they are about 7 feet tall now as I walk through here. Check this out. So I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot even. So there we go. Beautiful cattails, and quite a few of them. So down here in our marketplace pond. So that will be quite a nice harvest when we get closer to that. And I think that pretty well covers a lot of the current projects. Obviously the old post office, which is quite a mess, we'll have to touch on another time. But the plan there is obviously to it'll be torn down and repurposed to build a kind of a town center slash a community market. and it'll host things like farmers markets and bazaars, and we want to do a lot of open air markets and things like that. So it'll be infrastructure to support that. But other than that, down here is mostly going to be a community access, open to the public, things like that. There'll be a little picnic park over here. We have to raise the elevation of some of that. We're going to redo the sign. We got some curb and gutter that will be reused. Hopefully we can make infrastructure for things like food trucks, and vendors can come in and set up shop temporarily for, like I said, for some events and bazaars, things like that. So it's got a lot of work to do, but a lot of progress has been made. So, and I guess one more thing I'd like to touch on before the end of the video here is, within the last years, we want to thank all of our allies and all the people that support us. I want to thank you guys very much. We've actually formed a couple of formal alliances, and these are not exactly in chronological order, but we just recently formed a formal affiliation with the Empire Stamaria, and a big shout out to them, and thank you very much, Emperor Andrew Stott, for updating or professionalizing our flag. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that. A shout out to, obviously, Principality of Silvestria, Sovereign Kingdom of Stoda, and the Kingdom of Iberia, and we have a couple more we're still negotiating with, and also we have approved our first visa, so we're putting that together. And I guess that's probably the update for everybody. So